Hey there, I'm Judy Croon, Canada's keynote humorist. Welcome to my podcast. Today I'm doing another book review. This one is called Outlive, The Science and Art of Longevity by Peter Attia and Bill Gifford. Houston, we have a problem. Our genetic makeup cannot keep up with our environment. According to Outlive, The Science and Art of Longevity, an imbalance of what we are genetically made up of and our modern environment has led to an increase in chronic diseases like cancer, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. Our bodies are not equipped to handle all the processed foods that we are consuming at alarming rates. Take fructose, for example. Fructose used to be our friend when our consumption of it was limited to fruit and honey. Unfortunately, now there's an overabundance of fructose in so much of the processed food that we consume. Our bodies are struggling to store more fat than we need. On top of this, we are not exercising as much and we're exposed to lots of pollutants. In other words, our environment has changed, but our genes have not kept up. Doctors are seeing higher rates of obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease than ever before. Now, in order to combat these health issues, Outlive, The Science and Art of Longevity stresses that it's important for us to make conscious choices about our lifestyle. This includes eating a balanced diet rich in whole foods, engaging in regular physical activity, and reducing our exposure to harmful toxins. By taking control of our health and making positive changes, we can help bridge the gap between our genes and our environment. Outlive, The Science and Art of Longevity outlines a number of pillars that we can focus on to improve our health and well-being. Here are 4 of them. They are exercise, nutrition, sleep, and emotional health. Now, what works for one person might not work for another, so it's important to experiment and see what works for you with the ultimate goal of living longer and better. Let's examine these 4 pillars. Number 1, exercise. Exercise is good for our body and our brain. When we exercise, our brain produces a molecule called BDNF, a brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which helps with memory. Should you do weights? Should you do cardio? If so, how much? Don't stress. Again, it's different for everyone, so experiment until you find out what works for you. I gotta be honest, I hate doing weights, but I try to walk 10,000 steps every day. Pretty easy when you have a dog. But even small daily exercise routines can have a lasting impact. Check out this stat. If you started from doing nothing to doing some form of exercise 90 minutes a week, did you know that you could potentially lower your risk of dying by a staggering 14%? Now, there are 3 types of exercise: aerobic, endurance and efficiency, and strength and stability. Unfortunately, we have to do all 3 if we want to stay in shape. Now, I say unfortunately because I hate doing anything aerobic and I hate doing weights, but I will try to take a page from this book and start out in small areas. Hopefully I can work up to a moderate intensity, which by definition means 60 to 70% of my maximum heart rate. Outlive, The Science and Art of Longevity says this means you should be able to quote unquote work out and still carry on a conversation. My heart rate is usually near 0, so 60 to 70% of that shouldn't be too hard. Okay, number 2, diets are sad. Many Americans consume a SAD diet, which is an acronym for Standard American Diet. The SAD diet is overloaded with sugar, refined carbs, and processed oils. Typically, if someone tries to break from the SAD diet, they do one of 3 things. They try caloric restriction, dietary restriction, or time restriction, for example, intermittent fasting. Of course, there's pros and cons to each method. Outlive, The Science and Art of Longevity suggests that consumers should focus less on what they shouldn't be eating and focus more on what they should be eating. So first up is protein. Protein builds and maintains muscle, especially as we get older. One should aim to consume 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight daily. Spread your protein around throughout the day, and eating enough protein can also help you feel full. Next up are the fats. We need a mixture of fats, saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated fats, with a focus on omega-3s for heart and brain health. Choose extra virgin olive oil, avocados, and nuts while cutting back on butter, lard, and omega-6 rich oils like corn, soybean, and sunflower. Oh no, I have to cut back on lard. Number 3, sleep. Studies show that we need between 7.5 to 8.5 hours of sleep per night. Sleep helps to keep our metabolism in check and reduces the risk of health issues like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and obesity. There are some staggering studies and statistics that show that what the lack of sleep can do. One study showed that sleeping less than 7 hours a night can increase your risk of dying prematurely by 12%. Sleep-deprived drivers cause around 20% of all car accidents, and sleep deprivation also leads to more workplace accidents and medical mistakes. Finally, we get to number 4, emotional health. Everyone's emotional health is different. Outlive, the Science and Art of Longevity, delves into the benefits of mindfulness, self-reflection, and something called dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT, which I've never heard before. It also stresses the importance of speaking to the right person if you need help. Sometimes we don't know why we feel sad, angry, frustrated, stuck, but there's no quick fix. And if you feel like you're struggling, you should reach out to a professional. Addressing issues like depression or trauma can contribute to our overall well-being. Our emotional health is just as important as our physical health. So in conclusion, over time, our environment has changed faster than our genes can keep up. Chronic diseases like cancer, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes are on the rise at alarming rates. In order to combat these health issues, Outlive, the Science and Art of Longevity, gives us some tools to make conscious, good choices about our lifestyles. These choices are built around a number of pillars, including exercise, diet, sleep, and emotional health. By taking small, incremental steps in the right direction towards these pillars, we face a better chance of bridging the gap between the environment and our genes. Mentally, physically, and emotionally, we will be better for it. Well, that's it for me this time, and if you'd like to tune into any of my other reviews or podcasts, please feel free to check me out on any of the streaming sources, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or you can drop me a line at judycroon.com.